Welcome to Parenting Tips with Dr. Glow on the WDKX Podcast Network, where the conversation never ends. I am reminding you that education is in my DNA. I am a parent, and this podcast is for parents. And today, I have a parent with me, and she is a person that has been very instrumental in engaging young people in her professional life. But she is also an author, and she has written a book. And the title of the book is Shameful, Joyful, Triumphant: A Teen Mom's Journey Towards Prosperity. I'd like to welcome LaShondra, or should I say Shawnee Ashford, to the podcast. And I am, first of all, going to ask her to tell us the book title, but also knows this title.
It is a pleasure to be on this platform. I appreciate you for the invitation. My government, I like to say, is LaShondra, but a lot of people know me in the community and just like my personal journey as Shawnee. And Shawnee, I like to look at that as like my alter ego. Like that's me. That's authentically who I am. I actually go by Shameless Shawnee on social media as well, which reference in the book as well. Like the book is about being shameless pretty much. But I am a wife. I'm a mother of two. When I tell people how old my children are, they're like, wait, you do not look like you have a 20-year-old. But my husband and I, we met in high school. We started very, very young, which is another reason why that was my purpose and passion of wanting to pretty much write the book of that journey. But we have a 20-year-old and we have a 15-year-old. I have worked in education for over 10 years. My heart and soul is into just giving back to the community, to young people, or to anyone who has been like in bondage or locked in shame. But I just love to just like motivate and encourage people. And that's who I am.
Okay. So, Shawnee,
hmm
tell us, why did you write this book?
Yeah, so a lot of people actually don't know, but my prologue actually started in 2013. I wrote my prologue in 2013
Whoa.
when I was actually going for my associates at the time. And the assignment was to complete a narrative essay. And that narrative essay was pretty much the story of my husband, but my boyfriend at the time, telling our parents that we were pregnant.
Gotcha.
And that was my narrative essay. And I remember submitting the assignment, and the professor said, you need to write a book. And that was in 2013. And so over the years,
Yes.
that seed was planted in 2013. And so over the years, it was just something that just like dropped in my bosom. You need to further. You've done podcasts, you've done motivational speaking, you've hosted events. You need to further this basically story
Mhm.
for a broader experience, but a broader range as well.
Mhm.
And so that was pretty much the purpose, was to get it out there.
Right.
The title, and which I want to give shout out to Damian Brown, my husband Cameron Ashford, and just my village, because I was back and forth with several different titles, but the root was shame. So I
Okay.
knew that shame needed to be in the title.
Right.
And as I went back and forth with just like several different people and my author, my editor as well, the title guides you towards the journey of the book. And
Mhm.
so it started as this innocent young girl who was just like full of life, but then became shameful.
Okay.
She also, became joyful. The joy I experienced after I had my daughter.
Right.
And then the prosperity and the triumphant was
Triumphant.
basically
Mhm.
after owning who I was at the
Mhm.
time,
Mhm.
and overcoming adversity.
Gotcha. So from shame to joy to being triumphant and eventually prosperity. I love that.
Mhm.
So parents are listening to this
Mhm.
podcast, and there are parents out there who themselves were teenage moms and dads. Why would a parent want to read your book?
That's a really good question. And I remember years ago, like when I first published my book, I started to pretty much host events and share my story more. And I learned that there's a lot of women, and I would say women and men, right? But more so women, because they were more fluent and just freedom and ability to be able to speak up and express themselves who
Right.
were teen parents.
Right.
And what I realized, like myself, that once you become a teen parent, there's so many stereotypes and stigmas that's against you.
Mm-hmm.
I remember just being a young woman of color, and immediately there were so many stereotypes and labels. Right,
Mm-hmm.
I was a statistic. I threw my life away. I was going to be in the system, and I speak about that in the book because I lost hope.
Mm. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what I
Hope can be lost. Definitely.
absolutely, right? And I grew up actually as a PK kid, so as a pastor's kid. And so that was another layer of shame that
Yeah.
was on me from the church community. And so being so young and having all these labels against you and just added onto what you're already feeling, of your body changes and you
Mm-hmm.
also feeling as though, you made a mistake,
Mm-hmm.
it was very, very, very difficult.
Right.
And I realized, and my mother at the time, she supported me in the best way that she knew how.
Okay.
And there was also lack of resources that she actually had. And so my mother was also a teen mom. Her mom was also a teen mom. My sister, my older sister, my mom's first daughter, was a teen mom. So
Okay.
this was a generational norm that was
All
going on.
right.
And so my
Okay.
mom was trying to support me in the best way that she knew how.
Mm-hmm.
However, she was also experiencing her own triggers, trauma, and healing as well.
Okay.
And so I look at this as two different perspectives. Like, it's a great tool for at the time, myself, the one that was actually getting ready to birth the child, but then
Yeah.
also for my mother.
Mm-hmm.
And so we don't realize in our generations how we carry on, when they say, and I don't like to say generational curses, but generational norms,
Yeah. It
and
is.
bringing awareness and having a platform or a safe space to really be able to talk about it really helps free
Mm-hmm.
one another, right?
Exactly.
And so when I actually hosted, pop-up book events, and I shared my story, there were so many other mothers. Wow, I was a teen mom, I experienced that,
Mm-hmm.
or I still am experiencing that, I don't know
Right.
how to talk about it.
Right.
And so that was the purpose, was to really be able to have an outlet and a safe space, and to really be able to free people, and for
Mm.
people to be able to start their journey.
Gotcha. So this is the cover of the book, which I think is interesting because the cover does show the hand of a little one and a pregnant mom.
Mhm.
And I'm just letting you know, listeners, that I met this young lady because of a professional situation in which she needed some support. And I realized there was something special about her, but I had not met her. I think it was email. I don't even think it was by phone
It
that
was
we
actually at
talked.
a community event. We met
Oh,
your
okay.
daughter and I. We were connected,
Okay.
and I shared something with her, and she connected us. And then
Okay.
you said, "Call me on Monday, girl. I'm off."
I do listen. I do listen to me.
Boundaries. I love it.
Listen to me. I do set boundaries. And when I say the week ends, it means professionally I am off.
I
Okay.
respect it though.
And she did respect it. I didn't want to talk business at the time. But one of the things that I learned about you was about this book. And when I read the book, realizing that I had bonus daughters who were teenage moms, I really I wanted to gift it to them, and then I pulled back because I did not want to. You know how people say you're throwing something up in
Mm-hmm.
someone's face, but I want to know from you and parents. I think this is important, an important question. What did you learn about yourself as a result of writing this book, Shani?
Yeah, there was actually a lot that I learned. And I want to start with forgiveness.
Okay.
I needed to forgive myself, and
Mhm.
I also needed to forgive people that I deemed at the time as perpetrators. And
Okay.
I'll be honest and very transparent that I needed to start with the church community. And the church hurt is real, and I speak about that in the book as well. My
Okay.
expectations were definitely high, for certain specific individuals, but I needed to start with forgiveness,
Mhm.
and that also was the beginning of my healing journey. And I realized that I needed to heal as well.
Healing
Um,
is vital in any types
mhm.
of situations.
hmm
Yeah.
And I also, I mean, like I said, there were several different layers to it, but I needed to revisit conversations
Mhm.
with my parents and with my siblings, and again with my support system,
Mhm.
because I also needed to, one, just let my mom know that I appreciate you. My mom
Yeah.
is the reason why I am where I
Okay.
am today.
All
And she
right.
was very, very hard on herself. However, we don't realize as parents, right? Even for
Mhm.
me being a parent today, I can only parent from my level of parenting skills
Yeah.
and with the resources that I currently have. And so as we get older and we become more mature and just life lessons and gems, it's different levels and each child may experience a different level of parenting from you.
Hmm.
I'll also say that I understood and it was great to accept that I'm more resilient than what I thought I was.
Yeah.
So at
Yeah.
that time, oh my goodness, it was just really rough. And I also didn't see the gems and the blessings that God had given me,
Okay.
starting with the village, right? When I thought it was really, really bad. And even now,
Hmm.
the labels is what motivated me. The labels is what pushed me and
Hmm.
encouraged me
Yeah.
to not be that individual, but to be a support for other people. So when
Correct.
I see that people are hurt, I don't want to push them down. I want to pull them up. I want
Yeah.
to pour into them, right? And so it has really taught me to just be more resilient. I remember going through something very, very traumatic in 2024, and I'll never forget that I reflected on my teenage years of
Hmm.
being a teen mom and everything that I overcame. And I said, wow,
If you
if
did
you
that, why can't you do this? Yeah. I get it. I get it.
and so sometimes we experience challenges and you're like, wow, like this is the worst that I've ever experienced. And then you reflect, you're like, whoa, no, like I've actually experienced more.
Hmm.
But I'm resilient. And
Hmm.
yes, it sucks. Yes, it may not feel good right now,
Hmm.
but I will get through it. I have to grow through the process.
Exactly. Thank you for that. And one of the things, parents, I think that is so key about what Shawnee said about forgiveness. One of the things I realized as I read the book, she threaded throughout the book that she did not want to be a statistic.
Mhm.
Statistics said she should have not gotten to where she is today.
Mhm.
And many times we can look at statistics and make that a self fulfilling prophecy. In other words, we become what the media says about
Mhm.
us, and especially with our brown and black children.
Mhm.
I do value that, and also understanding that resilience, right?
Mhm.
Resilience means you can still persevere and go
Absolutely.
beyond what the situation is. As a teacher in the classroom for years, that's one thing I had to push my students to
Mhm.
do. And as a person of your caliber, you're in a profession where you're able to do that with some young people,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
And that's another story for another time. I may have her back on to talk about that. So, you were a teenage mom, your boyfriend at the time, and eventually your husband, teenage
Mhm.
dad. What words, what thoughts, what nuggets would you like to share with a person who's listening to this podcast who is actually a teenage mom or
Yeah.
dad?
Thank you for that. Two things. One, I also learned that I was stubborn. And I'm good at sometimes proving a point.
Mhm.
And oftentimes, we can look at that as negativity, like that's negative, right? Like, oh,
Okay.
you're stubborn, and these words and these phrases, these names
Mhm.
that we call people. But in some situations, it's actually a great thing,
Okay.
because had I not had my stubborn ways, right, or if I was to pretty much like adhere to those norms, I may not have been or be exactly where I am today.
Okay.
So I will say that, but I would also like to just share that it gets tough. It gets extremely tough. If I would have known that everything that I experienced was going to set me up for today or set me up for success,
Mhm.
I probably would have embraced it a little bit more.
Okay. Okay.
But I say that to say, one, our testimony, and going back even to just the beginning of our conversation of the purpose of the book, our testimony and what we experience in life is not just for us, it's to be shared. And that was one of my purpose and my goals, to be for the book, is for it to be
Mhm.
shared, to be able to encourage others
Mhm.
as well. But I would definitely say talk about it. We live in a generation in society where we don't really talk about what it is that we're going through. We don't express our feelings and our emotions. We're good, right? How many times you go out throughout the day and you see someone, you're like, hey, how are you? Hey, I'm good. And deep down inside, they're not feeling good, but that's just
Mhm.
how
Yeah.
we're just so quick to express ourselves that
Yes,
way.
we are.
but to really be able to sit in what it is that you're feeling, what you're experiencing, and to be able to find someone to talk about it. I'm an advocate, I'm a social worker as well, but I am an advocate of therapy.
Mhm.
And I believe that if you cannot find someone in your village or in your family that you can trust and speak with, there are insurances that cover therapists, or mental therapy. So, or
Mhm.
mental health, I would say. I'm sorry.
Right.
So, I'm an advocate of that. I would definitely say that, continue to just look at the positives, find something that encourages you. If it's one little thing, right? Being able to just start from that one,
Mhm.
and then continue to build upon it. I actually wrote a story or a letter to teen moms in the book.
Yes.
And that was to put myself back to where I was at 16. And that was the loss of hope. That was, not having encouragement and just feeling like I was in this world of wilderness. However, throughout life, and as I speak to the positivities, there are things to be grateful for, right? There are
Exactly.
things that give us that motivation to be the best version of us, but then to also try and be better than
Exactly.
what we were.
Exactly.
And I realized even writing my book that there was times that I also needed to have a conversation with my mom, or I would
Mhm.
say both of my parents,
Mhm.
and there it was healing for them as well.
Excellent.
And so I would say for our teen parents, if there was any challenges or adversity they have experienced, to give your parents grace,
Mhm.
to have those conversations, the healing conversations, the transparent conversations. Put aside your pride.
Mhm.
Oftentimes, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, and I was not good at all,
Yeah.
right? So being
Right.
able to put aside your pride and be able to ask for help.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So you heard those nuggets, and one of the things I just wanted to say from the last chapter, just a few words. It says, "Through the clear crystal waters of my tears, I can see an angel floating. Then I felt a hand placed on my shoulder, an unfamiliar voice, so soft and sweet, slithered into my ear. Everything is going to be
Mm.
okay. You're going to be a great mother. This journey will be a challenge, but I promise you, daughter, you will conquer all. And this will forever be a testimony." So, this book is literally a testimony that this young lady, I'm saying young because she's a few years younger than me, can share with you. Can you tell us how people can get a copy of your book?
Yes, actually, and as you just read that, I just got so emotional because I remember writing that part. And
Yes.
even just going back to the nuggets, right? I'm a believer. And so
Mhm.
just making sure that, we're going to God, we're putting
Mhm.
it before Him, and that we're praying through it all. And He will see us through. He will
Exactly.
see us through.
I agree.
It's not on our time, it's on His time, but
Mhm.
continue to just be faithful. But yes, so my social media platforms on Facebook, I am Shawnee Cox Ashford, and on Instagram, my social media name is I am Shameless Shawnee. And so you can just contact me on either one of those platforms,
Okay.
and then we can
And
make
Shawnee is
arrangements.
spelled Shawny.
Yes.
Yeah, just want to make sure you know that. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for
Thank
opening up
you.
your heart and your life and your family to us as the readers. And short story, folks, I had a copy. I took it with me on a trip. I left the signed copy, autographed copy, in the pocket of the airplane. Literally was distraught and contacted her, and I had to get another copy of the book before she leaves today. She's going to sign this copy, but I did finish it in June of last year. Um, and I value the fact that I met you. I value the fact that I read this book. So thank you, thank
Thank
you, thank you, thank
you.
you.
Thank
A
you.
social worker, I got to tell you, she does her thing.
I
Thank you
appreciate
so
that.
much for tuning in to Parenting Tips with Dr. Glow on the WDKX Podcast Network, where the conversation never ends. I have a question for you, parents. Will you get a copy of this book?